Valentine's Day is almost here and love is in the air. We have the relationship advice to keep you, your partner, and your bank account head over heels for financial planning. Plus, I'll tell you about a romance scammer who turned his life around and a zoo that's offering a unique way to get back at your ex. It's all coming up next. Welcome to Your Money. I'm your host, Gordon Severson. In honor of Valentine's Day, I put together a Love Your Money special. This time of year, people love to show their feelings with flowers and chocolates. But flowers dry out and chocolates get eaten. You know what gift you can give this year that will last a lifetime? Some great financial advice. You can really impress your significant other while you're sharing a romantic meal. Then wow them with the newfound knowledge that you learned right here on Your Money. All jokes aside, relationships can be tough, and money is one of the biggest reasons that couples fight. Plus, later in the show, I'll have a financial advisor share some great money advice for you and your partner. But first, I want to talk about online dating. According to a recent report from Forbes, people between 43 and 58 have found the most success with online dating. 72% said that meeting someone on an app led to a romantic relationship. But you need to be careful when meeting someone online. They could be a romance scammer. Overseas scammers trick people out of thousands of dollars every year. But for some, those scams are the only way they think they can make money. Chris Maxwell was one of those people, and he shared his story with the news station in Idaho.
It was very difficult in my first year because my dad was retired and my mom is just a school teacher, and we had no money.
Maxwell said he took more than $50,000 from people posing online as a member of the U.S. service. And then he had a change of heart.
She later became sick. She became depressed. She was seeing the doctors. Her kids stopped talking to her just because of me.
What made you decide to stop being a scammer? Why'd you kind of reform yourself?
She noticed I am a scam. So she wanted to know who I really am. She wanted to see my face. You know, I know it's very risky for me to show her my face, but at the same time, I had this guilty conscience, affecting me. And I was wondering if my mom had to be in that same situation, would I be happy? So that was how I just decided to show her my face. And I called her on a video call, I showed her my face, and I said, I'm sorry. Well, she still talks to me up to now.
Maxwell now works for a company dedicated to preventing scams called Social Catfish. But there are still many people out there doing what he used to do. So you need to stay vigilant when talking to potential partners online. Watch out for these red flags. They ask you for money. They move fast, saying things like, I love you, within a few days. That's always a problem. That's always a red flag. Their dating profile only has 1 or 2 pictures, or none at all. And always trust your gut. A healthy relationship is built on trust and respect. And if you aren't feeling those things with a new match, don't hesitate to walk away. Here on Your Money, I'm always looking for ways to save a little money, right? So here are a few ideas for nights out that won't break your heart or your wallet. Dating a book lover? Find the most interesting bookstore near you and take them along to browse. If you find a book you both need to read, you can go check it out at your local library. Volunteer together, help your community, and learn about what your values are and what's important to your date. Go out to breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day and usually cheaper than going out for dinner. Plus, if breakfast goes well, you have the rest of the day to get to know each other better. And finally, how about catching the sunrise or sunset together? It's sweet, romantic, and like we say here on Your Money, it's tax-free. But really, the best date is one that is special for both of you. You can't put a price on good memories. When you're ready to start a serious relationship, it's so important to talk about money. You and your partner will need to decide if you're going to combine your finances or keep them separate. It used to be that the norm was to throw all your money in one pot. And this story from Texas has more details on why that can still be a good idea for some couples.
Why could having a joint bank account lead to a happier marriage? Well, it used to be that joint bank accounts were the norm when it came to married couples, but in recent decades, more couples have turned to separate finances in various forms. Now researchers have taken a closer look to see if partners who merged money were more happy, and the answer appears to be yes. Yes, they are. The study found couples with joint accounts were more in sync when it came to finances and were more likely to respond to a partner's needs without expecting anything in return. You might think that makes sense because couples who choose joint accounts are probably in sync on money issues already, but researchers took a couple hundred newlywed or engaged couples and randomly assigned them to 3 groups, one with shared finances, one with separate accounts, and one left to choose whatever they wanted. Then they spent a couple of years studying them. What they found is couples with joint accounts said the relationship satisfaction increased 6%, while the other 2 groups reported their relationship satisfaction decreased over the same period. Researchers told the Wall Street Journal that normally relationship quality decreases in the first 2 years of marriage, so reporting an improvement is even more significant. They believe the financial transparency and communication needed to share an account could be responsible. With a Y, I'm Ron Trevino.
In the spirit of Valentine's Day, we decided to have a conversation about money and couples, and having a good conversation about money and not having any fights about it. So we decided to ask one of our experts, one of our favorites, Kim Meller, to come on the show. You've been involved in counseling with couples over the years. Is this something that couples argue about, is money often?
Yes, it is something that is a source of conflict for a lot of couples, especially when trying to figure out financial goals or dealing with debt and where to go, in the future for their money.
And oftentimes it's not arguments like, where are we going to go to eat for Valentine's Day, or how much are we going to spend on a Valentine's Day dinner? There's usually some deep-rooted issues that have probably been going on for a while.
Yes, there are a couple of topics that always come up in couples in regarding with money that can create problems and that we encourage better communication about. So one is different scenarios. The most common one is the saver versus the spender. So someone likes to save a lot of money, someone wants to have a good time and spend the money. Usually conflicts involve that kind of scenario. Another one is sometimes when they create what we call power plays, is when one tends to make more money than the other spouse, and that can create conflict in how decisions are made or where the money is dispersed.
What is a great way for a couple to kind of start out? Like, is it first identifying that something isn't working and then kind of figuring out how to address it? Is identifying the problem the best way to start for couples?
I think sometimes the problem can underline the overall issue that's coming. I'd like to take even a step further in that a lot of times people are just uncomfortable talking about money in general. So a great first conversation that couples can have, even when they're dating or they've been together for a long time, it's good to talk about, how did you talk about money growing up? Because a lot of us have different experiences, and so with families who may be a little bit more open with their money, might have talked about it more often, kind of exercise that muscle to be able to set those goals and make those plans. But for families who it wasn't really talked about, or it might create feelings of guilt or shame, that might prevent the person from being open about it. And so just even having that conversation can really clear up some assumptions and to really lay the field to be able to talk more openly in the future.
And I know there's no one-size-fits-all kind of strategy with a couple. Some couples have joint accounts, some people have separate accounts. Have you seen that both can work, or is there one that works better, or what sort of recommendation would you have for couples in terms of balancing their budgets and where the money is?
Yeah, so I'm always the firm believer there's never one right way to handle money. It's about what feels comfortable for both of them and how they can move together in reaching their money goals. So joint finances works really well, and separate finances can work too, as long as both feel comfortable and can look back favorably at their previous spending and feel comfortable about it. So, one is not always getting to be the fun person, but, paying for vacations. The other person stuck paying the utilities all the time. Making sure that they both feel together as a team. And the most important thing, regardless how you handle money, is to not hide finances from each other. So secret spending, secret saving, hidden debt, that type of thing that can kind of uproot things a little bit and create mistrust in a relationship.
I know one fun rule that my wife and I started many years ago that's kind of fun I'd like to share is we had a $100 rule that
Yes.
if it was anything outside of our normal budget that we were already spending every month and it was over $100, we just had to mention it to
Yes.
something else. Like if it's a really nice pair of shoes or something like that, just say, oh, by the way, I spent $120 on this, just so you know. Is that a kind of a cool way? It might be good idea for people.
It's a great way, and a lot of times it can create that freedom that people are looking for, to be able to have, like, I have my own little fun money. It's a great way for savers and spenders to come to a compromise, or actually more of a collaboration of their budget, knowing that I have X amount of dollars to spend, and then the saver can go ahead and save it, and the spender can go ahead and spend it, and then as long as they keep on talking about it with each other, that can work out really well.
Within the bigger issue of money, what are some of the smaller sub-issues in that people really argue about? Is it, the weekly, the monthly budget? Is it going out to dinner? Is it debt? Like what kind of issues do you see within money that really cause a lot of problems?
Yeah, so debt can sometimes be the symptom that finally creates the rub that people want to talk about their finances. A lot of times what I hear is, it's more about the feelings. It's like, I hear comments like, I feel like we can't do anything fun, or I am bad with money, those kind of feelings. And then so what really helps is putting everything down on paper, getting down a budget of knowing how much money is coming in, what is going out, to really get the numbers and the data. When you have that information to track, then it takes away the blame and shame when you're talking about money with your partner. So instead of saying, I feel like I can't have anything fun, it's you look at the budget and go, hey, the budget reflects that if we cut back on this area, each of us can have like $50 extra to do what we want. Do we want to work on that together? So it takes away from you and me and puts it back on the paper to reflect those numbers.
Do you often find that besides the money issues, there's deeper issues there? Because I often find that in times in my life where I spent more money than usual, it's when I was, unhappy, or I just moved to a new job, a new city, and I don't have any friends in that city yet. You find ways to fill your happiness with money. So do you see that sometimes in couples, that there's deeper issues of why they're spending?
Oh, sure. And so, our finances are not just about numbers, it's about our feelings as well. And so having those talks about what are your main goals, what do you value? Sometimes going out to eat, it might reflect, I don't want to make a decision of what to make for dinner tonight. or I don't want to have to plan all the time meals, and because our time and money have limits. And so when we make adjustments, then it's how do we work together as a team to save time or to save money to do something else. So if eating out reflects the connection time, to be able to sit aside quietly and have these conversations, if that's what's most important, then sometimes the eating out factor is just secondary. But once you pinpoint what they value, then you might want to pick a different time, like maybe going on a walk, or going out for coffee instead, or picking a less expensive option to have that same kind of connection.
Have you ever worked with a couple where in front of you they made the decision to call it quits or to divorce because the issues they felt were so insurmountable?
So I haven't had that kind of extreme example of someone, but I have had couples realize while they're working with me that they have some deeper underlying roots of communication and other struggles that they might want to work at as well. And so I can help with the finance part, and that's where I've had couples decide, to go see someone else to get professional support to work on their other areas that they like to work on in their relationship.
Yeah, I think people who haven't gone through that as a couple maybe underestimate how big of a deal money can be in a couple and how much that can just affect every part of their lives, because you worry about it. Your mind is thinking about that and not other things. You might neglect your partner because you only have so much space in your mind to be thinking about things. You might not be giving kids the attention they deserve. There really are some serious issues that can happen if you're so fixated on money because you're struggling to make ends meet?
Yes, I think sometimes with money, it is not just about, like, everyone kind of knows, what bills they pay, but it's the extra details. It's the gift giving. It's the emergencies when they pop up. How do you handle it? Do you use savings, or do you take out different types of debt? When you have those different types of struggles or the differences in opinion, then that's where the conflict can arise. And so we encourage couples just to set aside time to have a regular money date, to not talk about money just when things are bad, but to talk about money when things are good too. When you build up that habit, strengthen that muscle of communication, then that can help, just make things a lot easier going forward, so that when a bigger issue does pop up, then they'll be able to have the ways of communication to handle it.
And in the spirit of Valentine's Day and not being complete Debbie Downers on, like relationships and money, have you ever had a moment where you've been working with a couple and they've had one of those like aha moments where they're just like excited? It was a simple thing that they were fighting about, and they came to a realization and go, we can work through this, and it's going to be easy. Have you had those moments?
Yes, and so it's wonderful to see those couples that they come in and they're nervous because they don't really know what to expect, or they don't want to get yelled at, and then to get everything out on paper and to look at it and go, hey, we have more in common than we didn't, and we are fixed on this one goal, and we can do it together. That is a wonderful way to work with people and to see their goals and if they want to reach them together.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and for giving us some great advice on how to manage money as a couple. I'm sure a lot of people will get some great use out of it.
All right. Thanks, Gordon.
You've probably heard the statistic that 50% of all marriages end in divorce. It's actually not true. Since the 80s, divorce rates have been falling. That's great news, right? Still, legal experts say that anyone considering tying the knot should think about signing a prenuptial agreement. A prenup is a written contract both partners sign before they're married. They're normally created to protect your financial interests. But even if you don't have a lot of money or assets, that prenup can help set expectations about finances if you do get a divorce.
I tell clients it's almost like an insurance policy where you hope that you never have to use it, but it's always there to fall back on in the event that you do.
So what does that prenup do for you if you do end up getting a divorce? Well, it depends on what you and your partner decided before you were married. As long as the agreement is considered valid by a judge, the way you divide up your assets, liabilities, and debt will be held up in court. Sometimes marriages don't work out, and a nationwide trend has popped up in recent years. The AARP calls it a gray divorce, when couples in their 50s and 60s decide to call it quits. Over the last 25 years, these gray divorces have increased more than 50%. I sat down with an expert to find out why they're seeing more gray divorces and what she has learned after working with countless couples. This is a topic that isn't always pleasant to talk about, divorce, right?
Right. As far as divorce goes, we've seen a decline actually in total divorce, but that's not been in the 50 and above crowd.
A trend that's so strong, the AARP even gave it a name, gray divorce, with more couples in their 50s, 60s, and 70s deciding to end their marriages. According to the Pew Research Center, gray divorces have gone up by more than 50% over the last 25 years. And Denise Kautzer, a marriage and family counselor, says there are several reasons why.
People can grow apart, they become dissatisfied. The children that they raised together have left the home, and that was the reason that they chose to stay together. Another issue is people are living longer. So when people are living longer, you can hit 55, and the thought of staying with that person who you're not satisfied with, staying with them for another 30 years can seem like something you really don't want to do.
Is it also more culturally acceptable now to go through a divorce?
Of course. At one point there was a stigma with being divorced, and that just is not the case anymore.
Are some couples seeking out alternatives?
Yeah, there are some people that choose to stay married but live separately.
Staying married on paper but living completely separate lives, in separate homes, and sometimes even separate states. Kautzer says there's no wrong way to end a relationship as long as it works and everyone is on the same page. But what often comes into play when separating later in life is financial issues around retirement. Because you're planning your retirement numbers with those living expenses shared together.
That's correct. And now you have to meet those independently. If you had envisioned getting out of the workforce at a particular age, a divorce can impact that. It may require you to stay in the workforce longer, or if you haven't been in the workforce, to actually go into it.
Kautzer sees this a lot in her work because she isn't just a counselor, she's also a CPA. Two specialties that she says often blend together in divorces because money is often the reason why they happen, and money is often the biggest issue people deal with when it's over.
If you are thinking about divorce, really know what your financial situation is. What is this going to look like for you? So that you know, and it's not this huge surprise to you that suddenly all these costs that you weren't aware of are suddenly your responsibility.
The pandemic did slow down divorce rates. Experts thought people weren't willing to make any more big changes in their lives. In 2021, Arkansas and Idaho had the highest rates of divorce, and New Hampshire had the lowest. And according to a study from Forbes, 75% of people they polled said lack of commitment was the main reason people got divorced. Other common reasons were excess arguing and conflict. The couple thought they got married too young. And this last one should not surprise any of you. 38% of couples reported financial problems as the cause of the divorce. If a relationship ends, it can be tough to let go of any hard feelings. But this Texas zoo doesn't want you to forgive your ex. They want you to get a little revenge, for a good cause, of course. The San Antonio Zoo is bringing back their Cry Me a Cockroach fundraiser, where you can buy a roach, name it after your ex, and then that roach is fed to a zoo animal as a snack. This isn't the first time the zoo has hosted this odd fundraiser, but there is something new this year. Now you can buy a poop-scented hippo love candle. The zoo said hippo poop is the cologne of the hippo world and is used to impress potential mates. And now you too can use this signature scent to impress your own potential mate. If they're still with you after you light this candle, then you know they're the one. This Valentine's Day, I challenge you to take a step back and really think about your significant other, if you have one. What do you like about them? What fun experiences can the two of you share this year? Here at Your Money, I'm all about saving money. But if you are ever going to splurge or go all in on something, it might as well be a fun, memorable experience with your significant other or your family. So if you're looking for a topic of conversation at your Valentine's Day dinner this year, strike up a conversation about the fun experiences you still want to have in life, some goals you haven't accomplished yet. Because life is short, and there's never a bad time to go on an adventure. Well, that's all for today's show. I'm Gordon Severson, helping you save, spend, and invest your money wisely. I'll see you next time.